So first thing, obviously you install generators. I know that, but just for the purpose of the video and stuff. So what exactly is it that you guys do for work? So probably other sorts of electrical services too. But yeah, just tell me a little bit about yourself, your company, that sort of thing, Rich.
So I started off in generators over 20 years ago, working for another company. Learned my way up through the ranks. Made it to a point where they couldn't afford to pay me no more, so I became an electrician.
Yeah,
Uh,
start your own thing at that point.
yeah, I learned. Yeah, so I learned on the fly, but then I got into the electrical trade. Stayed in that. Our company at RJ Home Services, we started off electrical, then we added plumbing, and this year we're consciously partnering with SwiftPro to with the SwiftSocial. You guys were. I mean, I can't say enough, but yeah, we partnered with you guys because we're trying to drive a direct generator
Yeah,
branch
specifically.
division. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And why is it that you want to drive the generator specific branch more than
Well,
maybe
there's a
like
need
others
for
you
it.
guys could offer?
Yeah. So like you hit the cap at the trades, you can hit a cap without having like a huge extra overhead expense of more and more employees in order to run more calls.
Yeah,
Generators in particular allow you to use both trades and fill gaps in schedules, with
yeah.
installs.
That is a good
So
point. Yeah. Yeah, usually I ask people that question and they say like, the first thing is like the money. And that's like, probably the obvious one because there's not a lot of high ticket stuff in home services that you can sell, but it's also like a quick in and out job, I feel like for most electricians, especially. You do
right.
more home services than that, but yeah, I think that's one thing. But being able to fill other people's schedules too when you have like a broader home service company is also really valuable. And I think people kind of forget about that hidden value aspect of it a lot of the times too. So that's pretty sweet. Cool. How did you hear about SwiftSocial, like my company, and the services that we do for people, the generator specific stuff?
Yeah, it was actually I was sitting there and trying to wind down for the evening, and you guys came across my feed on I think it was either TikTok or it was Facebook, one of the two, and
Probably
I
Facebook.
watched your advertising and the way you spoke. What resonated with me about your group is that you were a former generator technician, generator
Yeah.
install, and then worked your way up into sales, and then now you've started Swift Social,
Hmm.
and it was generator specific. That was the biggest thing because in the advertising world, that's not my realm, right? And it takes trust, and then you guys you made a personal guarantee that said, hey man, if this doesn't work for you in the first 30 days, we'll give you the
Yeah.
money back because you're that confident.
Yeah.
I can definitely see it. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the name of the game is trust, like around the board. Like
mm,
with the advertisements that I like run for myself and our company at Swift Social and stuff, obviously, like you saw, like it's all but just like being honest. Like this is the ROI. This is what we're gonna get you. We're not gonna like bullshit you. We're not gonna like whatever like 100% money back guarantee. That's what it is. So there's literally a 0% chance. Like if you get installs, because a lot of people they base their guarantees right on like hey, if you get 5 installs in the first month, then, or if you get less than five, then you're going to get the guarantee. But it's like with us, it's like you could get 20, but if you hate us for some reason, you know what I mean? Like we'll give you a
right.
refund for the first month and you can have your money back and leave. But even if you hate us, you probably stay at that point, I think. But I guess we'll see what we do. But okay, cool. So before you started working with us, what was your business like specifically when it comes to like the generator side of things? Like how many installs were you guys kind of doing? That type of
Well,
thing.
I could say it like this. It was just an add-on. If somebody brought it up or one of the technicians heard a customer say something that it was a need, we
Yeah.
would talk about it then. Very few. It was a handful, maybe. Like I think all of last year we probably run like 15, 20 generator leads actually specific for that. We only sold 6 total last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just an add-on service, a secondary thought process.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's basically what it was the last 3 years actually.
Yeah. And so 6 installs last year, and those are all just word of mouth referrals. It sounds like, right? So those were just like existing customers who just mentioned to you or one of your guys, like, yeah, we need a
Yep,
generator. We're
yep.
interested in.
You
Yeah.
got somebody would bring up, that power outage from 22 that we had. We had a big snowstorm in
Mhm.
2022 that knocked the
Yeah.
power out for 6 to 7 days, and then of course, you just naturally start having that conversation. And as long as you can justify it, folks will invest in it. So
Right. And did you ever try anything for leads, like generator leads specifically before you started with us, or was it just like word of mouth? If they
Yeah.
came up, like you
Yeah.
didn't seek them out necessarily. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're a Generac, authorized agent, and we
Yeah.
went on their program. And I think, matter of fact, yeah, I didn't. We haven't received one lead from them because we're not a big boy. So
Yeah. The power play
we
stuff,
pay.
right?
Yeah, the power play stuff is.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's a joke. If you're not one of the big players in
Yeah.
the generator industry.
Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate. It seems like it's kind of pay to play to an extent because they got like the dealer tiers or whatever, right? So it's like if you're not
Hmm.
like the platinum or like premium tier dealer or whatever, it's like if they go on that dealer locator tool, you're not even going to come up, especially if you're in a populated area,
Right.
and you have a lot of competitors. So it's kind of, yeah, it's difficult. Gotcha. So what made you decide, like, you saw my ad on Facebook and stuff like that, like most people probably even watching this video at some point probably will or have. What actually made you decide? You mentioned the 30-day like refund guarantee, decide to actually go forward and like, hey, I'm going to book a call and like actually go ahead and talk to him and like take that leap, you know what I mean?
Yeah, outside of the actual, money back guarantee,
Mhm.
just listening to you, Mitch, honestly, talk about where you came from, how you started in trade, that resonates with me. Like, one of the things I've always believed in is if you've never walked in the shoes, you can't tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
And you've done it. So that says, and even with the ad, after I was still being a technician and mindful, some of the stuff with the ad was, I was like, oh gosh, but you guys know what you're
Yeah.
doing. So I've learned to trust you in 30 days really, really quickly with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. My whole philosophy with it is because like, I used to do the generator installs. I used to like be an electrician during the day. I used to do the
Mm-hmm.
generator installs. And then on the weekends, my weekend jobs, I used to go do like the maintenance and stuff. I used to do the oil changes and spark plugs and all that for like,
Mm-hmm.
I'd knock out like 8, 10, sometimes a dozen generators if a bunch of them were in the same neighborhood in a day, and I'd just go like door to door doing that. But like in doing so, I would talk to these homeowners and these people who own the generators too, like the entire time they stand out there while you change the oil and they talk to you and stuff. But it's like, at the time I didn't realize it and I was younger and stuff, but it was actually so valuable, like listening to those people who own the generators in their exact words, which is now what we use like in your ads and other clients' ads and stuff like that. It's yeah, it was just so valuable, and that's really like the foundation for like all the ads that we do and like the language that we use in the messaging. And I think the reason that it works better than most of what else you see online, pretty much all
I
of it.
would
So
agree. I would have to agree with you on that, Mitchell, because here's the thing. One of the things that my customers, I ask them where they heard about us, like we always should. But it's the way you wrote the advertisement. You can tell that you did what you just said. You listened to what the homeowners are saying back to you, and you're putting those fears and those moments at ease.
yeah,
Um, and you're speaking truth because that's something else. Like even my business partner was like, "We got to start selling these for more." And I was like, "That's not what this is about. This is about building a steady stream, you know,
yeah.
and just taking care of the people and doing it right."
Yeah, and that's the thing too, and that's been like a really big unlock for me that I've had recently too. And maybe it'll be like even more valuable for you and your business. Is like I realized that with these people who buy generators, they're not even. A lot of people go overboard. It seems like on like the features and the benefits, like oh, this is the new Generac model just came out and it's got this and that and whatever. But it's like the reason that people, it seems like most of them, the reason they buy or the reason they don't buy is because they either trust the contractor and they think that they're going to get quality work at a fair price or they're not. And that's really what it is. So it's
Yep.
like people go so overboard in trying to sell the product, but in reality, the reason I think a lot of the time, especially when it comes to home services, where there is unfortunately like that stigma around contractors and stuff scamming people a lot of the time, kind of same with marketing agencies, right? Is like
Mm-hmm.
you just got to do everything in your power to just build that trust and just show them like, hey, I'm gonna like show up on time. I'm gonna quality work at a fair price. I'm not gonna be the cheapest guy in town, not the most expensive either. But that's kind of like how I like to position our clients, how they like to be positioned most of the time too. It feels like. And we do different stuff. Sometimes we have people who are more like they want to be the premium guy in their market, whatever. But yeah, man. So okay. What kind of results have you seen since you started working with us? Like how many installs, maybe leads, like all that kind of stuff, revenue numbers, etc.
So we just signed up our 15th sale, and we haven't even really been running the ad for maybe I think a couple days over 30.
Fantastic.
I didn't really start running actual estimates until 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So in 3 weeks, we've done over $200,000 in the first
Good.
month.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
I've got
good.
a 62% close rate on these.
Wow.
Um,
Fantastic.
yeah,
What,
so
62% close rate? That's really good. I'd say most people that we work with are somewhere between 25 to 40%, maybe a little
mhm.
somewhere in that range. What do you do to get a 62% close rate? I mean, you don't got to share all your secrets, but if you had to
Well,
give
no,
like
I
a
don't
tip,
mind. I've
yeah,
never been one to keep anything close to the vest because I believe if we can help each other, that's how everybody gets better results. Um,
yeah,
so one of the biggest things I do is, like you said, I don't over tech it. I don't. The
yeah,
first thing I do is sit down and have a conversation with them about what their needs are, what they're expecting, and what they want. Um, and before we even look at anything like site placement or anything, we've already got an understanding. This is what This is what you're wanting or expecting. Now let's
yeah,
figure out how to do it because the
yeah,
install comes secondary to what the customer actually wants. We can tell. Me and you could walk up to a house and determine that that is the best place for it. Da 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 da. But
yeah,
actually, what the customer has said to you, if you don't listen, I don't want to see the thing. I don't want to hear it. You know, and then
right,
at that point, we've got to look at. So that's what I really do different than most of my competitors because I do shop my competitors. I have them come to my house and
yeah.
actually give me estimates.
Just smart.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, we've actually had other clients who have had similar results to you, funny enough. Yeah, literally do the exact same thing, do like the secret shopping and
yep.
stuff, but it's smart. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So you think like maybe part of your sales sauce is kind of making them feel more understood. Like you actually take the time to listen to them. A lot of salesmen maybe go in there with like a plan, like I want to give them this pitch and I'm going to say this and that, but you actually like, hey, they don't want it to be too noisy. They're concerned about placement. They're this, and you actually
Mhm.
take the time to register those things. You know.
I think a lot of it has to do with the two types of people that are coming before me. So
Hmm.
you've either got a technician trying to sell it, which is going to be a technical thing, or a sales guy trying to sell it, which is going to be, it could come off two different ways. Um,
Yeah.
I also I build our brand up along with, what we're doing. So like what you said about to earn my trust, I do the same thing. I talk about who I am, where I came from, what the company's built on. And then we
Mhm.
start talking about, I want them to know who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
This isn't a sales guy. It's a former technician. I turned 50 this year. I'm not turning any wrenches anymore, but
Yeah.
I am here and I am
Fifty
running the
fifty, by the way.
estimate.
I wasn't expecting that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I turned 50, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's definitely something too that I think I've heard that from a lot of people too. I think number one, like found because do you do all those sales right now yourself? Is it all owner led sales, or do you have any sales guys helping out?
So I've got Jake will run some, which he's the co-owner of the company with me.
Okay,
So
so you're part.
primarily, I'd say about 80% are me. Jake runs the overflow, and then we've got a senior technician, Tommy, that will pick up from time to time a couple leads here and
Gotcha.
there.
But you find that you two are usually better at the sales than the technician.
I do it because this was my baby, this was my ideal, and it's
Yeah,
just
of
like
course.
you,
Yeah.
Mitchell. You want to make sure you're taking care of it the way you want it taken care of.
Yeah, and people can always feel the passion off of you too.
Mhm.
When it's one of the owners or something, or someone who's got a real like stake in it too, and that always just increases the close rate too. So I
It's like
think
the lady
that's
that handed me a $10,000 check this morning.
yeah,
She had to give me a hug before she gave me the check.
very good.
That's what I want. I want that kind of customer relationship with us.
Yeah, and those are the best ones to have because it's the best for you, and it's also the most profitable too. Like you're actually doing a good thing for people. Like it's
Mhm.
enjoyable. You're like, yeah, it's the best of both worlds. So I don't understand people do it any other way, but it beats me. Okay, so do you know specifically? So you said you're up at your 15th sale so far in just over 30
Mhm.
days, which is fantastic. What's your average ticket price for one of these installs, or do you know roughly how much revenue that translates to?
Currently, our average ticket is 14.9, so
Hmm.
$14,929 to be exact. I just did the numbers yesterday,
Okay.
and then like I said, we're at 208, 158 on a 62% close. That's just my numbers. Jake sold two. So he's got about 47,000 in two sales. He had two bigger installs that needed fuel sources. So
Were those two also from us in addition to your 15,
yeah,
or are those 15
yes.
total? Yeah,
So it's 17
fantastic.
total.
That's awesome. Okay. So you already kind of gave away some free advice, but you said you like giving more, so I'll push you a little bit more. What's one more piece of advice that you'd maybe give to like maybe just some of our other clients too to get the most of our services? You know.
Slow roll it. Don't push it. Give people time to make the decision. The biggest thing you can, the worst thing you can do is actually try to offer them a deal at a table the day
Yeah.
of. Always make sure you get your appointment booked though for your phone call or a second sit with the husband and wife, both decision makers there at the same time. And the probably the absolute biggest thing that we did is make sure you are picking up the phone on these leads because if you don't, I will. So,
Yeah. No, it sounds so simple, but people, it's like it seems like people have this tendency they want to like try to learn all these little like tips and tricks, and no, it can't be that simple. It's got to be this. There's got to be something else that I'm missing, and it's like, no, dude, it's just the basics over and over again. You know, like really well. Um, yeah, that makes sense. That's what we hear from all of our successful customers. So that makes
goes
sense.
back to the old saying, old Navy guy told me one time. It's called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. If you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
keep the
yeah,
process,
yeah.
yeah, don't overcloud it, don't
Same
make it
thing.
all crazy. Just keep it simple. Be you, be
Yeah, I
who
live
you
by that
are.
as well.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I try to do that with everything. I find like the simplest solutions usually the best one, like in life
yeah,
and business, just everything. Like less headaches too. And there's already going to be enough of them, I feel like, so you don't really need to add any more yourself, huh?
amen to
At least,
that. I hear that, brother.
yeah. All right. All right. I got one last question. I won't keep you too long. I know it's a Monday. You probably got a week ahead of you. I do. I know. What would you say to someone who's maybe on the fence considering working with us right now, but they're kind of like most people, and for good reason. They're they see our Facebook ads and stuff. They're skeptical. They're like, is this some like bullshit? Or are they just going to scam you? Like they are these guys legit? Like, what would you say to someone on the fence right now?
I would say you'd be making a mistake if you passed it by. If you're truly wanting to get into the generator realm or into that specific niche community
Mhm.
of the generators, if you're wanting to do that, then this is the company. You want SwiftSocial doing it. Um, because you'd be making a mistake if you didn't. That's just what I feel. We were skeptical coming into it, and
Mhm.
then it got to a point where our schedule was booked up. Like you almost had to turn it off,
Mhm.
and we didn't. But I was running 4 leads a day, which is that's
Yeah.
maximizing. So that being said, I wouldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
If I could have told myself 2 years ago to look you guys up, I would have at that point.
Mhm. Yeah. I really appreciate that, Rich. Like it's my pleasure to be able to do good work for good people and actually like and make money and this is my living and stuff and to do this I appreciate your time and everything and thanks for hopping on with me today. I'm gonna stop the recording, but I'm gonna stay on for a few minutes if you have any other questions for me, obviously. So